Hi guys, welcome to this episode of Legally Brum. In this episode we'll be interviewing Jai Singh, a trainee solicitor from Eversheds Sutherland.
Jai will be providing his top tips on how to secure a training contract, including tips on commercial awareness, assessment days, application processes and networking. So we really hope you enjoy this episode. So how many training contracts did you apply to before you got one?
I applied to many. I actually had 116 training contract application rejections.
Oh wow. Gosh.
Which was brutal. So over a 3-year period. And I'd say the differentiating factor for me was networking.
Of the 116 then applications that you did, do you think they were all equally as good as each other, or do you think?
No. Brutally honest, I was a deer in headlights in the application process. I didn't know what I was doing, so I wrote out so many generic sort of applications, and without surprise they all came back as rejected. So I thought, you know what, I have to do something different here, because even though I thought my applications were strong, I wasn't getting anywhere. So networking for me, I've always enjoyed speaking to people, meeting new people. So I started networking, reaching out to people on LinkedIn. We arranged to meet and I just absorbed their knowledge, let them talk about sort of their experience, managed to build a relationship with those individuals, and they were kind enough to sort of let me put them as a personal contact on my application form, which I think went a long way.
So did you literally just look at the firms that you wanted to apply and then find those people on LinkedIn and just send them a DM?
Yeah, straight into the DMs. So I narrowed down my list of firms on the basis of the kind of areas that I was interested in. So corporate banking were two that I was very interested in. Then I would go onto LinkedIn and type in, associate banking, Eversheds Sutherland. Just email them or send them a direct message on LinkedIn, and a week or maybe a couple of days later I'd get a response.
Have you ever applied to the same firm twice?
Yeah, I was actually rejected from Eversheds 3 times before I was successful. I was rejected from Latham & Watkins before I was successful for their vacation scheme as well. I think the important thing to note is, if you're rejected, make sure you make additions to your application form. Don't just submit the same one.
So from your last rejection from Eversheds to your successful application, what was different between those two?
Yeah, I did a 2-week Easter vacation scheme.
So you applied for 116 firms, or did you apply for more than that?
116 were the ones I was rejected from. I probably made about 125 applications.
Oh, okay, so you did get through, and then...
Yeah, I got through to about maybe 4 or 5 assessment centres, but I only got through to the very last stage on 2, which was Latham and Eversheds Sutherland.
What's the most awkward task you've been given to do, like, in an assessment centre?
We had to, I don't know if it's awkward, I guess it's the most spur of the moment. We were asked to present on which country we think that they should expand into next and why. So it was kind of testing your knowledge of the firm, where they are, where they're not, where you think they want to go. But in the end we had to come to a group consensus as to which one they should merge with. So it was testing your group skills, which can always be difficult because you do always get some challenging individuals on an assessment centre.
What is the weirdest things another candidate, what's the weirdest thing they've ever said to you? Because I remember someone telling me on their assessment day that another candidate said, I think you were really aggressive in front of the assessors.
But on my Latham vacation scheme, there was a few Oxbridge candidates on there, and one of the particular guys there, he asked me, where did you go to uni? And I said, I went to De Montfort Uni. And he very gently put his hand on my shoulder and he just said, don't worry, just follow my lead, you'll be fine.
Wow, that's so rude.
That is so rude.
My response was, well, look, we're both here on our own merits, so I don't need to follow anyone's lead, but thank you.
So when you were applying for training contracts and going to these interviews, I don't know how many you had, but what's the strangest question you've been asked?
The strangest question I was asked was, what Disney character would I be and why? I went with Buzz Lightyear, and I said I would be Buzz Lightyear because although I'd be new to the group and might not necessarily get on with everyone initially, I think eventually we will all sort of gel and our personalities will sort of click together and we'll all get on. To which the response was, that's a great answer, but that's a Pixar character, not Disney. And I said, well, I'm glad you noted that, but Disney has acquired Pixar, or the other way around, I don't know which way it was, but they're now the same.
Oh wow, I would never have said that.
Well, it was out of Lion King and Toy Story, and I thought, well, I can't be anyone from the Lion King, really, can I? If I'd want to be anyone, I think it'd be Pumbaa.
Obviously, what they responded to you when you said that you wanted to be Buzz Lightyear and the Pixar thing. It was quite a commercial awareness response that they gave you, so you'd have to have some sort of knowledge. What would you advise students now who don't really have much commercial awareness? Like, how do you think that they can go from like a novice to a pro?
I think how you can improve on it, there's many ways. There's so many social media platforms now where you can use Twitter and follow the firm's clients that you're interested in and just get to know what they're doing on a daily basis. You can follow the firms themselves. There's Google alerts. There's so many different forums that you can sign up to, podcasts, on their commute to work. Or there's so many ways. You have to find the way that best suits you.
I always find at assessment days everyone talks about the same commercial topic. I don't know if you think the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you say
hot topic is probably Brexit now?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yes. I remember actually one of the assessors for an assessment day said to me, if I hear Brexit one more time.
Yeah. And I think that's another important thing. You've got to think outside the box. Another question that you might get asked is, what companies would you invest in and why, or vice versa, what companies wouldn't you invest in and why? I would steer away from your Apples, your Amazon, your Facebook, your Twitters, your Uber. They're just be a little bit different. I chose a company in my Latham Vac scheme where they hadn't heard of, but I backed it up with the knowledge, and I got the vacation scheme. So
excellent.
So my next question is, when you go for training contract interviews or VAC scheme interviews, and you're coming towards the end of the interview, and you have to, I've been told you should ask questions from your interviewers. How do you decide what those questions should be?
I think you should have some questions prepared before you go in. I don't think you should be too scripted. I think the process is very much a two-way street. So it's as much as you understanding if the firm is right for you and if they think you're right for the firm. There may be a strategic question that you want to ask about where the firm wants to go to next.
So one of the questions I asked at my training contract interview for one of the firms I applied to was, if you had to give your former self advice, what would it be? So I'm asking you the same question now. If you had to give your former self advice, at that stage as a law student trying to make those applications, what would it be like?
I wouldn't use the scattergun approach. So what I tell myself is, take a little bit more time to make a short list of firms to apply to. You should be spending about 12 to 15 hours on each application. So I'd say to have taken a little bit more time in that respect.
You said that you wanted to initially go to London. That was your dream goal.
Yeah.
How did Birmingham measure up? Like you said, social aspect was something that you were really keen on. Obviously Birmingham, I think personally, being a Birmingham lawyer, that there is a good social scene here. I'm
a Midlands boy myself, so coming to Birmingham was something that I definitely didn't rule out. It was just something I didn't think about. It was not that it was tabled and I said no. It was just something that didn't cross my mind. I would say training in Birmingham, there is no disparity now between training in London and Birmingham. A lot of clients are sort of bringing their work into the regions. You see HSBC have moved into Birmingham now. There's a lot of infrastructure with the HS2. There's the Commonwealth Games coming up. So Birmingham's definitely the place to be. And you mentioned the social side of things. There's an event on every few weeks, or twice or thrice a week, thanks to the BTSS committee. So
you're welcome.
I'm not sure about the chair though.
Oh yeah, of course.
One is, when you start out in the process, make sure you make a short list of firms to apply to. You can narrow that down by what areas you're interested in. It really does help to boost your own confidence, and it gives you more to put into your application form. Second, I'd say networking is extremely important. They say your network is your net worth, not mean to sound cliche, but and in terms of timing on each application form, I'd say you should be spending at least 10 to 12 hours on each application. And when you're drafting them, focus on what's unique about you. Don't write an answer based on what you think the firm wants to hear, because they want to know what is unique about you.
Thanks, Jay, for coming and speaking to us and providing your top tips for everyone watching at Legally Bram.
Well, thanks very much for having me. Really good to be here, and hopefully the people watching find the tips useful.